Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. Hope you're all having a great day and that you're all doing well. Bit of a crazy weekend, and without further ado, let's jump right into it. Although the United States is very far from being pro-crypto, it is the country that has the largest number of cryptocurrency holders. Most notably, according to a study commissioned by Finder, the number of Americans owning crypto assets is rising. Many countries are starting to understand the importance of Bitcoin and its blockchain technology. The US is not necessarily one of them. However, the number of Americans holding the cryptocurrency is increasing. According to a recently released Pure Profile survey commissioned by Finder, they said in the last year, the number of Americans who own cryptocurrency has almost doubled from 7.95% in 2018 to 14.4% in 2019, an increase of 81% in just 1 year. As a result, about 36.5 million Americans own some form of crypto assets. Keep this number in mind. This is a very important number. The profile survey also revealed that Americans holding crypto assets have an average of $5,447 in digital coins. However, the median amount of cryptocurrency in American wallets is only $360. Besides, Bitcoin is not the only asset that attracts the interest of American crypto investors. Data from this survey points out that 55.4% of Bitcoin owners have also invested in some other type of cryptocurrency. Bitcoin adoption, which is still far from being widespread, is continually receiving much attention from investors and members of the cryptocurrency community. There's a guy who created a chart and showed the actual adoption phases of technology, and he says that he believes that we are still in the early adopters phase before we end up getting to the really large runoff points where Bitcoin goes completely insane. People buy as much as they possibly can. The hype doesn't die down, but late people, I'll also get into the market now as well. And then by the around year 2030, somewhere around there, with the rest of the people slowly also enter the market, and then the entire cycle of people getting into Bitcoin is complete, if you will. This is a fascinating article. Why? Because something happened a couple days ago. I'm not sure if people know. Besides the thing that happened with China, which we're also, it's a lot to unpack. The other thing that really took place was that we finally got cryptocurrency laws from regulators within the United States. I think it was from the tax services and from the thing about Ethereum. It was all these little snippets of what's going to happen with cryptocurrencies within the United States. So the fact that we got that information, and then the information about the amount of people who own cryptocurrencies within the states was also released, i.e. this $36.5 million number, or rather million number, ties directly into this. Like I said, I don't know if you know, but this is it. The Internal Revenue Service has updated the main form individual U.S. taxpayers use to report their income to include a question about cryptocurrencies. Following the release earlier this week of the IRS's long-awaited guidance for reporting crypto-related income, the IRS on Friday circulated a draft of the new 1040 form. If you pay taxes in the States, you know what a 1040 form is. Schedule 1, Additional Income and Adjustments to Income. The draft was shared in an email and text software companies, with the agency also shared with journalists. The sheet, prefaced by a warning that it's only a draft and not an actual document for filing taxes, asks at the top, it says, at any time during 2019, did you receive, sell, send, exchange, or otherwise acquire any financial interest in any virtual currency? The main parts of the form, additional income and adjust to income, both appear below this question. So what's going to end up happening is we're going to see a very huge rift very soon. Please always, and I implore you to always do what is legally required of you wherever you live. However, when I found this information out and I started checking around, the amount of backlash that's already begun because of this has been enormous. And what I think will come of this, I can't even begin to explain what I think will come from this situation. Can you imagine someone knocking on your door and asking, what do you own in your house? What kind of car do you drive? What kind of this do you have? How much money or this do you have stored away for your child? Or this? It's a very invasive question. It's a question. Remember I said a while ago, I had a strange feeling that when we did get regulation from the US, that it would be in a very, the word isn't unnatural. The way that they would go about it, I knew would be completely wrong because they haven't taken the time to figure out what cryptocurrencies are. And I don't think they essentially care. Like, I don't think there's any part of any type of lawmaker around the world that actually cares. Maybe there's like one or two who's like was in the space, got into politics. They don't care, and they assume that this is just another way of investing, whatever the actual case might be. When you ask hundreds of millions of people, I think there are 350 million people within the States, and you are expecting 36.5 million people to tell you if they own crypto, and I have a strange feeling also there will be another sheet, which is going to be a part of it as well, that asks you how much did you buy or sell during the course of 2019. The podcast I listened to, it wasn't what Bitcoin did. There's another podcast, there's these two guys talking. One of them has a southern accent. I think that was it at least. And they were talking about the actual implications of this and what people would do. And it's going to be a fascinating turn of events when the government tries to, or is going to ask people, do you own it? How much of it do you own? Because if you tell them how much you own, or if they find out how much you own, and they can start doing calculations, and at some point they decide, once again, this is all speculation, but I'm pretty sure this is the way that it's heading. They can start deciding, well, if you own crypto that's worth more than $1 million, we're going to start taxing you 3% on it every single year. It causes a very interesting thing to, I mean, I'm trying not to get too, it's not even political. It's just more real worldical as to what is going to take place after this. I think a lot of people don't know that they're going to be asked this question. A lot of people during the price drops of 2018 got into cryptocurrencies in 2019 as prices were swinging back up, decided to buy cryptocurrency. I thought in the beginning that it was simply going to be something more like a little questionnaire, like, do you own? Do you have some? Okay, that's kind of cool. Well, you go and live about your life. And it's like, no. If you you know what I'm talking about. You know exactly what I'm talking about. It's going to be fascinating. Tying directly with a very tight string into this, cryptocurrency companies in the US aren't happy. Token issuers, exchanges, and venture capitalists are up in arms about vague and contradictory guidance on crypto asset regulation. Should the U.S. fail to revise its financial laws, they warn there is a risk of top talent making an exodus to friendlier crypto climes. America is known for its forward-thinking approach to tech. As a consequence, Silicon Valley startups have always been allowed to flourish in a favorable climate. So on and so on. This happened a while ago as well. In a blog post on the 23rd of May, Poloniex exchange owner Circle pleaded for U.S. regulators to show sanity. The company warned of conflicting SEC policy, chilling innovation in the U.S., and nudging crypto projects towards jurisdictions with greater regulatory clarity, neither of which is good for U.S. businesses. They added, we are frustrated by the consequences of the current guidance. We know those sentiments are shared by the crypto community as a whole. We need thoughtful and effective policies in the U.S. that enable creativity from technologists the world over and are built from crypto assets revised on public blockchains rather than age-old laws written for securities offered by corporations. We are going to enter a very fascinating 2020 is expected to be one of the craziest times in human history. It's mainly because it depends on how esoterically, philosophically of a person you kind of are. We have major companies who are holding back very large technological innovations until next year. I think I'm not going to name any names of companies, but a couple of them have announced in the last couple of weeks that they've created things that people won't even begin to imagine that they've created in the next couple of years. We have Bitcoins we have so much aligning technological wise as far as even like microchips costing 1 cent, if not a bit less, allowing the world to shape itself in a more digital technological manner. And if you are not at the forefront of this, you are going to experience what is called a brain drain. People will, and I say this over and over because it's true, will simply pack up their stuff and they will leave your country, your town, your village, your jurisdiction. Anyway, I found this fascinating. I'm sure other people did as well. I'm interested to see how this takes shape during, it's almost next year. Isn't that insane to think about how quickly this year flew by? Anyway, without further ado, let's continue on. Next up, a Russian government official says the nation will ban Facebook if the US decides to block the cryptocurrency's Libra coin. Speaking to reporters on the 22nd of October, Dmitry Peskov, the president's special representative for IT, confirmed his official position on Libra as well as Telegram's prospective cryptocurrency known as Gram. He says if Libra launches without controls, or Gram, the likelihood of the scenario appearing in which we block Facebook significantly increases, not just in Russia, but in every country. According to Peskov, Russia would take its cue from the US regarding Libra. There, the government has already spent several months quizzing executives, including Mark Zuckerberg, about the digital currency's implications. He said, but this does not depend on the Russian government, but on the American one, striking an ironic tone. Tying directly into this one, banks may be bound to stop working with the social media giant Facebook if the firm launches Libra, according to IGN CEO Ralph Hammers. Financial news outlet Financial Times reported on the 22nd of October. Per the report, he explained that institutions like IGN have to guard the financial system to prevent criminal activity. Because of this, concerns over Libra's potential for illegal use may result in a response from the banks. He said, we can take measures and exit the client or not accept the client. So those are discussions you would have to have. The money laundering concerns are spurred by the fear that Libra may allow criminals to quickly move funds across national borders without any oversight. Still, Facebook promised not to release the until the organization has not eased the regulators' concerns. Hammers explained that banks such as his have a rather low-risk approach. He said, we're such a large regulated institution that you don't want to risk anything. We've said we'll take a look and see how this develops. Other banks are even less open to the idea. And of course, JP Morgan, blah, 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 so and so and so and so and so. The last couple of days have shifted the world's view. I'm not sure if you've noticed. I did not and do not have space for all the tabs in one video. So I'm going to make another video after this one explaining more of the shift that has taken place. Libra is less important than it was just about 5 days ago. Because of the shift that we've seen or the information that we now have from China. I never had a positive stance on Libra. I just assumed that it was definitely going to launch. When you get news that no one in the world likes it, that countries will block your platform, not even your coin, they will block Facebook if the coin launches, and then banks are talking about cutting ties with Facebook. It's about a good 1090 right now, not a 50-50. It's a good 1090 that Libra will launch at all, with the 10 being the nope, not gonna happen. Maybe it's a 90-10. 90 not gonna happen. There we go. I had to weigh it out in my head, and I saw the numbers and I saw the scale. You know what I'm talking about. Things are not looking good for them, and I think. And this is just something that I learned growing older. When things seem rosy, or when you think that things are working out in your favor, or when you hear that some mega conglomerate institutional blah, 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 big money so-and-so has done something, never assume that it's for your own good, because it's not. It's for their own good, and you just happen to get the runoff from it. I assume this is leading us to a situation where either Facebook, like they announced a while ago, like 5 days ago as well, that they would abandon Libra and simply create a stable coin which would be tied to the US, tied to the euro, and tied to the pound, which makes a lot more sense for them to be able to launch. And also just the fact that no one likes them probably is leading us into a very odd situation. Anyway, we can talk about Libra for hours. That's the Libra's probably not going to launch news, and let's move on. Next up, the Litecoin Foundation has published 2 new draft Litecoin improvement proposals that work towards establishing privacy features for the network. The draft proposals are LIP 002 EB and LIP 0003 MimbleWimble. As the foundation outlines, both proposals are targeted at mitigating the privacy risks associated with a transparent ledger, where transaction history can be publicly traced. The proposal's authors, Andrew Yang, David Burkett, and Charlie Lee, argue that this transparency hinders Litecoin's functional fungibility in a government-regulated merchant world, observing that personal identifiable information collected from IP addresses, exchanges, or merchants can be leaked, then tied to your addresses. Also, services such as chain analysis provide risk scored based on whether or not any addresses that have been blacklisted appear in its transactional history. The result is some businesses treating these coins as tainted and then sending them back to the owner, or worse yet, shutting down their account, end quote. For those of you who have no idea what I'm talking about, it's a very big conversation that we haven't really had as much this year. I think people have been paying more attention to the prices of cryptocurrencies. It's the fungibility of different cryptocurrency coins. Mainly, usually Bitcoin is the only thing in this discussion, but I guess Litecoin's trying to have their chance in the ring as well. What it comes down to is that if your coin at some point, let's say there was something that illegal that happened in another part of the world, these illegal people, air quotes, held these coins, the coins dispersed, went away, they were sent away, people bought them, sold them, got them, blam. They're in the hands of other people. Because of the input-output transaction that happens when something is sent, you can see the information from the last person who held the wallet address. Let's say it went from the illegal people, it went to you, it went to your friend, it went to your friend's mother, went to your friend's mother's aunt. The transaction data is still on there once it hits your friend's mother's aunt. Problem is that at some point, if a cryptocurrency exchange or institution or Fidelity or a bank of a crypto decides at some point that they're going to block any blacklisted addresses that show tainted coins, going down the line, you are all in some way implicated or could potentially be implicated in the actual usage of an illegal coin. This makes no sense. It's the same exact thing like saying that there's somebody who did something illegal, holding $1, a euro, a yen, a pound. They did something illegal with it. They spent it at the store. It hit the shop owner. It hit his brother. It hit his friend. His friend owed you money, and his friend gave you that money, and all of a sudden, you're in trouble because you're holding that coin, pound, dollar bill in your hand. The idea is to create things on top of Bitcoin and Litecoin that will allow for private transactions so that people cannot tell where that coin came from, and that you and your friends and anyone else in the world are able to transact with the coins as they would similarly with paper money. We had this spoken about at the beginning of the year by Charlie Lee, the creator of Litecoin, that he was going to, or that by the end of this year, Litecoin would have private transaction features based on MimbleWimble. I spoke about this 3 weeks ago, and I said, a little weird that we keep getting news that Litecoin is trying to sell cufflinks and shoes and baby diapers and stuff like that, but they're not talking about the actual upgrades to Litecoin. And here we are. Here we are, eating my own words once again. I don't mind eating my own words as long as it happens. If I have to speak it into existence and then it takes place, cool, let's go for it. First of all, for those of you who also don't know, Litecoin is typically seen as a test net for Bitcoin, while Bitcoin may have its own test nets. It is a source code fork of Bitcoin. And normally when things are implemented on top of Litecoin, it usually lets developers know that it is okay for Bitcoin. I hope that by the end of this year, Litecoin has these proposals, upgrades, all activated on the network. I think that would be lovely, because the way that it's going to go, for those of you who don't know, is that within a year or two, it is expected that Bitcoin will also have, I don't think it's going to have ZK snarks. I can't remember the exact, there are like 5, there's, it's not Root Snap. Oh gosh, what is it called? Root Snoot? Oh my gosh, I can't remember the name of it. There are a couple of proposals. Root Snap. No, wrong again. There are many proposals for adding private transactions on top of Bitcoin, which is going to happen. It's more of a rather of which proposals will be implemented first, and even more so when we start having more side chains and more third layer things. These will also add layers of extra protection around the actual core that will only obfuscate transactions even more. If you couldn't tell, I'm very excited about this. I've been waiting for this for years. This was something that was spoken about in 2012, 2013, about these coins having these things eventually one day in the future. We're in the future, so they're going to take place fairly soon. To kind of finish things off, just to bring the point on home for those who didn't get it, a US lawmaker is drawing a line between true cryptocurrencies and Facebook's Libra. At a hearing on the future of Libra on Wednesday, lawmakers grilled the company's CEO, which we spoke about. Republican Representative Ted Budd of North Carolina used his time to separate Libra from crypto assets, warning that Washington should work to avoid stifling innovation in the blockchain technology. He said it is crucial that members of this committee be able to differentiate between Libra, which is really not a cryptocurrency, and actual cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP before we discuss draft legislation. Many of their proposals would stifle financial innovation, and if we are to remain as a world financial leader in financial technology, it's vital that this committee not embrace reactionary laws against cryptocurrencies. I'm used to, whenever I see a RIA, I always think regulation. Anyway, I don't know. I think, I want to say Libra's done, but there's always, we've been smoke bombed before. We're led to believe that something isn't going to happen, and then it still ends up taking place. We'll see. It is fascinating to note, and I'm not sure if other people have noticed this. There are a lot more politicians who are coming forward within the states who are announcing their support for cryptocurrencies, and even more so naming them now. 5 years ago, you would have been hard-pressed to find anyone who was a politician to say the words Bitcoin, Ether, or XRP out loud, unless they were mentioning that they could potentially be used by criminals. Something great is happening behind the scenes, not exactly sure what. And please, I'm not going to even tell you to watch it. It's more of a, I'm going to discuss a little bit more what's been also taking place over the weekend as far as what's been happening with China, because if you don't think it's big, you're not really paying attention to this massive new news that we have gotten. As always, a very special thank you to my Patreon supporters: Professor Wally from Gunbot University, Todd Mullis, Adam Graysick, Mohair Maroney, Master Ventures in Thailand, Brady Nield, Woody and Daisy, Triple M and J, Jared Schneider, Wise Night Owl, 242 to the World, Crypto Joe, Bankroll Network, Adobo, Mail Louise, Mechanic, Strange Radio Central, Crypto Artist, Cold D3D, Cryptopolis, Nicholas, Run Earth, One Piece, One Love, Damien, Setsuna, Nick Kanaya, Richie Rich III, Vlad the Impaler, Crypto and Beer Shipmate, Paxis, Nick Mangialavori, Anthony Charles, Jim Gardner, Jeremy Fox, Minting Coins, Miller Hitch Test Every Day, and Kyle Skips Leg Day. Yes, to crypto. And Bodie McBoatface, thank you all very, very much for your support. The moment, the crypto market is mostly in green. XRP is red. Not exactly sure why. It could be that XRP wasn't up as high as Bitcoin was, and Bitcoin looks like it might be shifting down. To be fair, we have the volatility back in the market that we need, that some of us may not love, but it's there. It's an indication that people are interested once again in the crypto. Holy cow. Yep. Remember when I just talking about people being interested in the market? Quick show of hands. How many, if you're holding something, don't raise your hands. How many of you remember what Bitcoin's trading volume was last Wednesday, last Thursday? Anyone? It was around 18 billion. Bitcoin's trading volume in the last 24 hours is 39 billion US dollars. Oh my goodness. XRP, I think, it was floating around 900 million to around 1.6 billion, give or take. I think Ether had around 5, 6, 7 billion. To go from, there's a fly on my screen right here. Go away, dude. Go from 18 billion to almost 40 billion. That is great. I am very glad to see that. I assume, this is just an assumption, as the word implies, as more people around the world wake up, I think they will see what's happening within the market, and I think they will also react to it as well. I think good times are ahead. I'm trying not to get my or anyone else's hopes up, but things are looking like they could potentially be good in the long run. I hope you all enjoyed. Hope you all are having a great day, a great morning, a great afternoon, a great evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. I do hope it's absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching and or listening, and I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.